All right, you have the parent functions for the graphs as we talked about them in a very informal manner. But now let's get to actually graphing as we float to the very front of this unit. We're going to do 4.1 today, 4.2 tomorrow, 4.3 on Friday, and then solving logarithms on Monday. We'll do some word problems on Tuesday. So you really should be ready to test next week about Thursday or Friday next week. So you're going to want to make sure that you keep up with these. We're going to crank this unit out pretty quickly. It says sketch of the graph of the following functions. State the domain, range, and the asymptotes. Y is equal to 4 to the x, 4 to the x. The base is greater than 1, so therefore it has this shape. What I'm going to do is I'm going to state the domain, the range, and the asymptote. Domain of exponential functions is all real numbers. You can plug anything in, as we talked about. What do you see as the range? Very good, DeWalt. Start at 0, don't include 0, and go to infinity. The asymptote is y equals 0. How is letter B different? It is a fraction. I'd like you to avoid the thought of a fraction and identify that it's less than 1, right? And if it's less than 1, it will flip and have that kind of shape. Domain is still all real numbers. The range, still 0 to infinity. And the asymptote is y is equal to 0. We all clear about the differences of those two graphs? So, will the next one look like the first one or the second one? It will look like the first one. Now, if you wanted to, you could show a little bit more information about the graph by including another point. For example, this goes through the point 3, 8 or 2, 4, right? And 4 to the x does not go through those. So what's the difference between 4 to the x and 2 to the x? Well, 4 to the x's can be stretched more. For example, 4 to the x will go not through 3, 8, but it'll go through 364, right? So you definitely see a stretch, but you don't really have to show that during the assignment today. Just know the general shape of it all, okay? Same domain, range, and asymptote. So let's go to the ones that are a little bit more challenging, where we have reflections and things like that that take place in transformations, okay? Y equals negative 8 to the x. What is this going to do? Flip it vertically. So that will not change the horizontal asymptote, but instead of passing through the point 0, 1, it's going to pass through the point 0, negative 1. And so we have this shape. Domain, all real numbers. Range, negative infinity to 0. You guys made some abnormally large mistakes. There must have been a gap in there in R work or somewhere along the way. But on your tests on 2.1 through 2.5, you guys had this horrible habit of writing things like 0 to negative infinity. You put the smaller, or the lesser number, the number that happens further to the left on the number line. You put that first. We all agree? See that? So try to clean that up if you can a little bit. We've got the asymptote is going to be, again, y is equal to 0. Great. We graphed one that's a little bit more complicated. How about the next one? What's the transformation here? Down 4. So is that going to affect the asymptote? Yeah, the asymptote will move from 0 to negative 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, it normally goes through the point 1, 0. If it or 0, 1, excuse me. If it normally goes through the point 0, 1, but it's shifted down 4, now what's it going to go through? 0, negative 3. That's where it's going to head through. We have the domain of all real numbers. What's the range? Negative 4 to infinity. And what is the asymptote? Y is negative 4. Very good. So we put it all together for this last one. Is this last one going to have a shape more similar to letter A or letter B? How come? 2/3 is less than 1. And so therefore it will start up and finish down. What are the transformations that will take place? What is the plus 1 going to do to it? Up 1, what will the minus 2 do to it? Shift it to the right 2. So if I shift something to the right 2, does that change the asymptote? Nope. If I move it up 1, does that change the asymptote? So the asymptote will be moved up 1 unit. And then it used to go through the point 0, 1. So if we move it right 2 and up 1, what's the new location? 2, 2. So over 2 and up 2 is the new point. And then did we say this is going to start down and finish up, or start up and finish down? Start up and finish down because the base value is less than 1. Domain, again, always all real numbers. The range, what is the range? 1 to infinity. And what is the asymptote? Y equals 1. Excellent. Flip it over. We have 4 short problems on the back side where we're going to take the data and be able to write an exponential function given this information. It's going to help us think a little bit more about logarithms as well. Logarithms we'll introduce tomorrow. Find the exponential function that passes through the following points. The directions state that what we want to do is write an equation of y is equal to we'll use a because that's what we use on the front. Y is equal to a to the x. A to the x. So we're wondering what would be the a value if it passes through these points. So before you've written the equation like y equals mx plus b, right? You found m and you found b. Right now we're doing exponential function where we find a. All these pass through what point? 0, 1. So I'm going to use the 225. So that means the x value is 2 and the y value is 25. So 25 is equal to some number a to the second power. So what is a? A is 5. If you write 5 on the test like that, you do not get the credit. It says write an exponential function. So you were right to say 5. The final answer will be y is equal to 5 to the x power. That's our exponential function. The next one, I have an x value of -1 and a y value of 2/3. So I have 2 over 3 is equal to some number a to the -1 power. What happens when you take something to the -1 power? It flips it. So what number would you flip to get 2/3? 3 halves. So therefore, a is 3 halves. So y is equal to 3 halves. Put it in parentheses, folks. That way we know we're taking the whole 3 halves to the x power and not just the 3 or the 2. So y equals 3 over 2 to the x. You try letters C and D on your own. Go. For letter C, you should get a is equal to 2. And so you get y is equal to 2 to the x. For this one, we have 1/10,000th is equal to a to the 4th. Well, what number would you take to the 4th to get 10,000? 10. So what number would you take to the 4th to get 1 over 10,000? So a is a 10th. And here's what I want you to understand. Y is equal to 1/10 in parentheses raised to the x power. You can also write that as y is equal to 10 to the -x. Those are the same. Have a great day, folks.